many cases around the world where the desirable and the physical are coming into conflict. Was not accepted by the then Greek junta, who were in that sense betrayed compared to Italy. You had Mussolini, but we had Cassa also during the pre-war years, but then afterwards we had another military dictatorship. And the Greek junta was dead against the idea of non-union, so they organized a coup d'etat against Macarius, which succeeded, and Turkey gave the opportunity to Turkey to invade Cyprus. But it is interesting that when Turkey invaded Cyprus, did not say that I'm invading in order to occupy the north. They said we are invading in order to protect the constitutional order, and we want to save Cyprus from the coup d'etat of the Greek junta. And that would have been acceptable to the Greek Cypriots as well. In practice, however, Turkey never went that. The coup d'etat gave the opportunity to Turkey to invade. They invaded, and then they occupied the area of the north of the island, which is just the area opposite Turkey. And by the way, by historical coincidence or whatever, the north of the island was 95, if total population was 80 to 18, the north of the island was over 90 Greek Cypriots, Orthodox Greeks, and then Maronites, Catholic in a sense, while the Turkish Cypriots lived in the south, in Paphos and in Nicosia. But Turkey was not interested in the south. Turkey was interested in occupying the north because the north was opposite to Turkey. And they were saying, we are not prepared to accept to be encircled by Greek islands. You have the Aegean and the Greek islands, they said no, Turkey should not be encircled also by a Greek Cyprus. Hence they occupied the north. And they occupied nearly 38% of the area of the country. And they still control that percentage. And because they obliged, they sent, by force, they expelled the Greek Cypriots who were living in the north, and they obliged the Turkish Cypriots who were in the south to come up to the north in order to create their so-called state. And because there were not enough, there were only about 7,000 to 8,000, they started sending settlers from Turkey, Turkish Cypriot Turks to the north in order to increase the population. And this is the state of things today. At some, there was no war, that's interesting. There was no war because there was a so-called green line, an area which was not protected but supervised by the United Nations. And of course, Greek Cypriots would never even dream to try and go opposite, because the strength of Turkey as opposed to that of Turkish Cypriot, Greek Cyprus was very much disproportionate. So there was no real war. But in Nicosia, because we had similar situations like we had in Berlin, the Turks had built the wall because they wanted to avoid contact, because Nicosia is a city which is divided even today artificially. And this street, for example, up to the middle of the street is Turkish Cypriot, the other middle of the street is Greek Cypriot. So the Turks built the wall in order to avoid the circulation between Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots, and mainly for commercial reasons, because they didn't want Turkish Cypriots to come and shop in the Greek area, and Greek Cypriots going in the south, in the north for other reasons. Anyway, they had this wall, and when this wall was destroyed by the same, by this decision, not by popular revolt, in 2007, there was the impression that, since that wall had been brought down, that means that the Cyprus problem will be solved. Unfortunately, the Cyprus problem was not due to that wall of 1,000 meters, but it was due to the fact that Turkey, with its military strength, was imposing a division which exists until today. Now, Cyprus, as you know, is part of the European Union, and I'm ready to blame for that, because I was in charge for the accession process of Cyprus to EU. But our position was very simple. We were not able to solve the Cyprus problem, to come to an agreement with the Turkish Cypriots, because the Turkish Cypriots, working under instructions from Ankara, were simply not interested in having a solution. And my position was very simple. I said to all the then 15 member countries of the European Union, well, we were punished once with the invasion. Now you want us to be punished again by the refusal of making us members of the Union because the other side is not interested in negotiating. That was true. And that was the situation. The negotiations never took place in reality until the United Nations, after many, many efforts, they imposed the idea of an agreement that would have a lot of elements that would be by the United Nations rather than by the two sides. Turkey, for its own reasons, had to, wanting to join the European Union, had to modify its position and accept the idea of a UN plan. However, that UN plan had many elements which were not going to be the results of a free negotiation, but simply the result of the existence of a very strong military power and a weak Greek Cypriot. So today, the negotiations are taking place. Fortunately, President Christofias is, by the way, is here today. He's in Italy at a meeting with Prime Minister Berlusconi. He is determined to have a solution. The leader of the Turkish Cypriots, Mr. Talat, is also willing to have a solution. And I hope that Turkey realizes the usefulness of a solution as opposed to the continuation of the current situation. So our hope is that the negotiations will succeed, but we must never forget that these negotiations are not in essence free negotiations. They are not the negotiations of two equal parties. They are the negotiations of a strong party and a weak party. We are the weak party, Turkey side is the strong party. Despite that, we hope that we will achieve a solution that, because we are members of the European Union, where both Turkish Cypriots and Greek Cypriots will feel free and safe. Safety is by far the most important element. And being part of the European Union, you can feel safe, there's no doubt. And not only that, but you can also look forward to improved standards of living, development, and so on and so on. And this is really what we are trying to take advantage of, for the benefit of all Cypriots, and achieve a solution. Let us all hope that, and pray to God, that we will succeed, because that will be important for us Cypriots, but I think it will also be important for Europe as a whole, because rightly so, they don't want to see a war within their borders.